Inside Camp 5, we house those detainees who have intelligence value and also who are been non-compliant during their stay here.
This is Camp 6. This is the most modern facility down here at JTF Guantanamo.
What's some of the basis for non-compliance?
Just failure to follow guards' instructions, being of assaultive nature, throwing feces and things of that nature, the things that they do, sir.
Take you through the camp.
All right, sir, you're currently standing in the standard size cell inside of Camp 5. It's approximately 12 by 8.
There's somebody on the top, somebody on the bottom, roving at all times. A guard's typical day, he's going to do 50 to 100 shackling evolutions, and he's going to walk 8 to 12 miles a day.
This is an interview room / movie room also.
The coffee machine?
Coffee machine is used during the interview process if the team comes in and they want to use it for the detainee while he's in here, sir.
And this is going to be a classroom where we'll be teaching art classes.
Why art?
First class we were told we were teaching. It wasn't a decision made inside the camp, I can tell you that.
This is a standard size sink and toilet within inside of the camp.
I enjoy it.
High stress there, right?
As long as you know that everybody, I mean, if you trust everybody around you, then you don't worry so much about the stress.
This is the rec area. Each detainee, if he's in a compliant status, will receive 4 hours of rec daily. If you're in non-compliant status, you receive 2 hours of rec daily. As you look inside of the rec pens, you see on top of heart exercise equipment, whether it's elliptical type exercise or to my left, it'll be a treadmill. When they come out, they have their Quran, they're allowed to bring the rec, they will place it in the rec bin, inside that plastic bin where they store it while they're on rec.
At this point, a number of detainees began banging on the windows, some yelling in Arabic, others shouting, quote, "You, Charlie." Once again, I was instructed to record over the footage.
Only thing about the building, sir, they may be standing in the window now.
I can't visibly see anything.
I'll go and screen all this once we get back. I'll take a second
Okay.
look at this. I don't think there's any issues. No cameras or anything, so I don't think.
I see one is sitting right here looking under.
Where we got one? Yeah, right here. Don't get that.
And there's one right in front of me.
Switch the cameras.
Gotcha. And so that bang that they're doing on the windows and the yelling, is that usual or only when the camera's around?
So they just realize that you're inside of the camp and they know that you are with a camera, so they've realized you're from the press or the media, so they're actually making noise to draw your attention, sir.
It's working.
What's happening on other places right now?
Okay. So that concludes the tour unless you have any further questions.
How's life working here?
Life is great, sir.
All right, we're about to enter Camp X-Ray.
I don't think we worry about any perceived ghost from the past.
It's impossible to move, it's impossible to see, hear, smell, talk even.
Where are we? All right, we're about to enter Camp X-Ray. What we have here are the original detainee cells.
In 2001, following the 9/11 attacks, the Bush administration opened the Joint Task Force Detention Facility. The first, quote, enemy combatants were brought here to the now closed Camp X-Ray. By all accounts, today's detention conditions have cleaned up since 03 and 04.
I don't think we worry about any perceived ghost from the past.
But Gitmo has ghosts.
Clearly, the techniques used for interrogation that I saw by the CIA, by the military intelligence and FBI, went into the realms of torture, cruel, inhuman, degrading treatment. There's absolutely no doubt in my mind about that.
Moazzam Begg is a British national held in Guantanamo for 3 years after being captured in Pakistan, where he says he was staying with family after fleeing the war in Afghanistan, where before 9/11, he had moved to start a non-profit girls' school with his wife and kids.
I've never been involved with Al-Qaeda. I've never been involved with its organization. Do not agree with the killing and the targeting of innocent civilians in any shape or form.
Begg was released to the UK in 2005 and all charges were dropped.
Yes, I underwent sensory deprivation, which included having my eyes blocked out with blackened out goggles, my ears with earmuffs, and my mouth with a face mask, being shackled, with my hands tied behind my back to my legs that were, or my ankles that were also shackled. So that was one of the stress positions where you can, it's impossible to move, it's impossible to see, hear, smell, talk even.
Former Navy JAG lawyer Charles Swift represented a Yemeni ex-detainee, Salim Hamdan, accused of being one of bin Laden's low-level drivers.
What the administration argued with full and fair trial was that I could use evidence that I had obtained by waterboarding, a methodology used by the Spanish Inquisition, among others, and I could present that evidence in secret without the accused being present, and that evidence alone, that confession or the confession of someone else, would be sufficient to sentence you to death.
It's been revealed through House and Senate hearings that a slew of officials from the Pentagon, Justice Department, the Navy, and the White House approved of harsh, coercive, sometimes inhumane interrogation techniques in 2002 that many at the time considered warranted given 9/11. Various officials at the State Department, the Navy, FBI, and the Pentagon raised red flags. However, Secretary Rumsfeld eventually approved and was later forced to revise the use of 17 interrogation techniques such as stress positioning, exploiting phobias, forced nudity, hooding, isolation, sense deprivation, sleep deprivation, exposure to hot and cold, bouts of loud music, and waterboarding. In 2005, Senator John McCain led the passing of the Detainee Treatment Act, barring coercive techniques. Today is a new day in Washington. A new Congress, a new Justice Department, and a new president in the White House who plans to close the most controversial jail in the world. But what happens to the detainees? 779 came through Guantanamo. Over 500 have been released, and roughly 250 still remain, 60 of whom, like these 17 Chinese Muslims, have been granted release, but their home countries either won't take them back or they may face torture and persecution there.
No one thinks they should be there. No one wants them there, but they are there because of politics. And that, in and of itself, defines Guantanamo Bay as a political prison.
Congress legislated that the U.S. won't take detainees, so other countries must agree to repatriate them. Portugal recently volunteered, but Australia, for example, rejected U.S. requests. And what about the remaining suspected terrorists held at Gitmo? Dozens and dozens of whom the government says are a real threat. Are they to be transferred to U.S. soil? Charles Swift says we should try these detainees fairly in U.S. courts, not by military commissions where coerced confessions are admissible.
Well, you can't admit evidence that was obtained by waterboarding or frequent flying and that sort of thing at that type of a court. Well, guess what? We shouldn't admit that evidence. And if that's what we're going to base our trials on and our detentions on, admissions we obtain through torture, then we don't need a new legal system, we need a new moral compass.
That compass is pointing President Barack Obama toward closing the Guantanamo detention camps. But it's not so easy. Tony Barco is a former federal prosecutor who specialized in terrorism cases under the Bush administration and is monitoring Guantanamo hearings on the base.
The incoming Obama administration says that they want a plan to close the detention facility there. How difficult of a legal process will it be to make that happen?
There's just going to be a lot of litigation, and cases like this take years, potentially. So it could be years before, after transfer to federal court, before these cases actually are tried in a federal court system.
On my last day in Guantanamo, I took in the sights. There's a charming old chapel overlooking the bay. The windmills are hard to miss. They went up in 2004 and generate a quarter of the base's power. I'm a big golfer, grew up playing, so I had to hit the driving range. I was homesick, so I had to get a slice of Americana. I had to get a glimpse of Gitmo's newest recreation facilities. There's bowling, a new artificial turf football field, a baseball diamond, miniature golf, a go-kart track, and a skate park. And my final stop, the souvenir shop. Gitmo t-shirts, mugs, sweatshirts, you name it. While the detainee camps may close, the base and this souvenir shop will remain open. There is no doubt the legacy of Guantanamo will live on.